Are you struggling to help your son or daughter control their anger or their temper? If you are, you're not alone. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some things to remember to help your son or daughter control or manage their anger, and some techniques and tips that you can use to help your child when their anger seems to be getting out of control. So stick around and we'll jump in. Hi there, I'm Cody Mitts. I'm a licensed professional counselor and I specialize in anger management counseling, and I've been doing a series of videos on the topic of anger and anger management. So if this is your first time here, you can hit the subscribe button if you want to get some of the latest videos as they're coming out. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about what are some ways that you can help your child manage their anger, or what do you do if you have a child who has lots of tantrums or their anger seems to be out of control. Now the very first thing that I want to encourage you to remember is that anger is all about regulating your emotion. So the very first thing I want to remind you of is that you need to be able to regulate your own emotion if you want to be able to help your son or daughter manage or regulate their emotions. Because if your child is upset or having a tantrum or is getting out of control and you can't control your own emotions and you react by getting angry and upset and yelling, you're probably not going to be able to help the situation, and you might actually be making it worse. Now, a big part about regulating emotions effectively is what our brains are doing and what your child's brain is doing when they're getting upset. And the reason I say that is because your son or daughter, depending on their age, probably doesn't have a fully developed brain. So they're going to be at a place kind of at a disadvantage simply because their brain is not functioning the way that yours is as an adult. And I think it's important to remember that, because sometimes we have expectations or want our kids to do things that they simply can't do. Their brains simply may not have that ability to function in that way. So try to remember that your child is in a very different place developmentally, and that might be able to help you understand what's going on a little bit better. Now, earlier I talked about the importance of regulating your emotions. And one of the reasons that's so important is because you're actually modeling for your child how to regulate their own emotions. Something that I talk about with my clients a lot when we're doing anger management is that if you don't know how to manage or regulate your emotions as an adult, it's probably because you never had that modeled to you. So you have a great opportunity here to help teach your child how to regulate their emotions in a healthy way. Modeling emotional regulation doesn't mean you have to be perfect at it. You probably are going to make some mistakes, and that's okay. The important thing is that you are teaching your child what to do when they feel the emotion of anger come up in their life, and they need to see how to manage that emotion in a healthy way. So here are some things that you can do to do that effectively. Now the first thing is to teach your child that it's okay to feel angry. There's nothing wrong with the emotion of anger. The important thing is that you teach your child how to express that emotion in a healthy way or an appropriate way without hurting themselves or without hurting other people. So it's important that you let them know it is okay to be angry. It's okay to express that emotion, but show them what are the ways that they can do that appropriately. Try and remember to let your child feel heard when they come to you with anger or frustration. A lot of times we want to shut down with their feelings, so we might tell them to stop it, or we might tell them to go to their room. And that's really not helping them process what they're feeling, and it's not teaching them that anger is an appropriate emotion. So sit down with them, listen to them, hear what they have to say, and again, model to them healthy ways to talk about and express their emotion rather than just trying to shut it down or tell them to avoid what they're feeling. Tip number 2 is to let your child have some options and let them feel like they are in control of the decisions that are being made. Some ways that you can do that is by offering your child 2 options when they're coming up against a problem or they're feeling frustrated about something. Rather than telling them what to do or telling them what not to do, Offering them some options lets them feel like they have some control over what's happening in their life, and it's going to probably bring their anger levels down a little bit, simply by having that ability to choose and be a part of the solution. Now, the third thing that you're going to want to do is help your child understand why they are upset. So you'll probably hear people talk about anger being a secondary emotion, which simply means that when we get upset, usually there's something else that triggered that emotion. So I feel disrespected, or I feel like I don't have any control, or I feel like something is unfair in my life, and so I respond by getting angry. But your child probably doesn't have the ability to understand what set them off. So help them explore what it is that they're really feeling. They might be feeling sad, they might be feeling unheard, and let them know that it's okay to have those feelings or those emotions. Help them process what they're feeling so that that anger doesn't have to be there to protect them. A really important thing that you can teach your child about managing their anger is the difference between being assertive and being aggressive. It's easy to confuse the two, and it'll be really helpful if you can help your child understand the difference between the two. Now, being assertive is setting healthy boundaries. So again, let your child know what the boundaries are, that they can't be violent, they can't be aggressive, they can't swear at people when they're upset or angry. That's being aggressive. But they can be assertive. They can tell you what they want, they can tell you what they need, they can express what they're feeling as long as they're not hurting another person or themselves. So remember, your children's brains are like sponges. The things that they see and hear are going to stick, especially when they're young and their brains are developing. So if you're at home, you're yelling, you're letting your anger get out of control, your child is going to see that, and they're going to do some of those similar things in their own life. So it's pretty difficult if your child watches you get out of control, and then later when they're doing the same thing, they're scolded or they're told that it's wrong to act or behave that way. It can be very confusing. So practice managing your own emotions, practice regulating your own anger, and that modeling is going to go a long ways in helping your child manage their own anger. Now, I would love to hear from you, so if you have some questions or some other things that you think are important about helping your child regulate their emotions, please leave those comments in the description down below. Thanks so much for sticking around. I hope that you found this information helpful. If you need some other resources, down in the description below, I have some free tools for you. I have a free online anger management support group that you can join, get some support from your peers. And I also have a free anger management guide that you can download to begin practicing how to manage your own anger in a more effective way. Until next time, take good care of yourself.